Mac. All right, let's bring you up, Mac. Everybody seems to want to bring you up. Good evening. What's up?
Hey, what's up?
Nothing. What's up?
I just came up because it seemed like you misunderstood the It's All Men slogan.
So,
So,
if I misunderstood it, do you think it's possible that other men could misunderstand it?
sure, but it's not
Yeah.
really that hard.
Where you, well, see, now you're just being dismissive of what I think about your messaging, and you're trying to attack my intelligence by saying it's not that hard.
No. I'm not trying to attack your intelligence. I'm trying to attack the fact that women are routinely not listened to by men. That's what I'm trying to attack.
So the
And
people
it's
that went
pretty
up there
clear.
that you had, were you the host?
No,
So
no,
you're
what
not
are
the
you
host.
talking
So you're
about?
not explaining for the host. But you're saying to me the way the when you're inviting men to go up there, do you think that's the way you should be talking to other people? It doesn't matter their gender.
No, so I think that men routinely misunderstand that slogan because they don't listen to us. I think it's very clear what the slogan means. It means, have you not heard it's all men until it's no men?
Never heard it.
Um,
But that's not what
right.
her
So
background said.
it said it's all men, correct?
It said all men. Yes. Prove me otherwise, is what she said.
And why does that offend you?
I can't be offended.
Well, no, I'm just asking
See,
why.
I'm looking at the messaging. I found
Okay.
other content creators that say all men are bad. Literally. I take photos of them.
It's
I didn't know
not
about
a
this.
difficult
What is it called? It's
concept.
all men until no men. You
Yeah,
barely
do you know
told me
what that
about
means?
it. I
I
barely
can tell you
learned
about
about
it.
it after I started this live. That's
Do
not
you agree
what the
with it?
background was.
Do you agree with it, or do you disagree with it's all
I don't
men
know
until it's
anything
no
about
men?
it.
So it's all men until it's no men. It's simply like it's talking more so in like the context of whenever you meet men out in public or like the real world, not on TikTok. It would be like, for example, like going on a date with someone. There's a very high likelihood that you're not going to go on a date with someone who's going to unalive you, or that's a rarity. That's not something that's necessarily like it's not a high chance, right?
Okay,
It's
but
not a
you're
high chance
saying
that that person's gonna slip something into your drink and then do something to you. That's actually not a very like you don't have a high percentage chance of that happening. However, since it does primarily happen to
that's great.
women, we
I
have
agree
to
with you.
be
I
on
agree
top
with
of
you.
it.
Listen, hold on. I agree with you. Scroll up and it says, Miss Daisy, we don't need you. So your rhetoric fosters that type of rhetoric. My rhetoric is inclusive with both men and women because we need the votes, right? You're not going to get the power that you're looking for without the male vote. There's not enough women. You need to work together. I am against people who essay women. I don't like the fact that Donald Trump was elected. He's an essayer, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Right. So why is that messaging a good message? Why do you think it's a good message?
So again, I just came in here to talk about specifically like the, I guess, phrase that was put up on the background, and then the "it's all men until it's no men" phrase.
Okay, so now you're misunderstanding because that's not what I was talking about.
Okay, yeah, it seems like you've taken a personal kind of like hit to the "it's all
No, I'm
men."
taking it personal for the Democratic Party to fix the messaging. So I've been going from live to live and taking a look at the messaging from the hosts. And in the background, if you say all men are bad, because I do have a picture of it from another host, all men are bad. All men need to be unalived. I've seen that. We can impregnate ourselves, women say.
But typically, I advocate for women, and like based off of a woman's perspective, utilizing statistics to do so
Hmm.
specifically.
Well, you do
But
realize that stats are highly flawed, right?
oh, they are. How
Yeah,
so?
dramatically.
How so? No, explain.
Well, okay,
I would love to
let's
know.
go to my SA situation. A Border Patrol agent's wife at the gym grabs me, unwanted, grab me, right? I go to a lawyer. They're not going to represent me. They told me, literally, one of them told me to suck it up. The police department won't even budge. It goes unreported. I've been kicked. I've been slapped. I've been poked. I've been cheated on. I've been my ex-wife, because I wanted to leave the house because her family was acting a fool after they had too many. She punched me in the face. No police reports, even after I called the police. So the stats are highly flawed. You do
So,
realize that.
so you're telling me that
We're
based
just
off
more
of
violent, and I stand against men who hurt women. See, I can do
which
both. Advocate for
which
men and women.
which stat is skewed? I'm confused. Could you tell me the specific stat that's skewed?
Yeah, so men that are victims of domestic violence. I think that's a skewed
But I more so talk about like specifically grape culture on
great.
my lives. So I don't really know a whole lot about DV, but when it comes to like grape culture, I can tell you that like I don't know if you're suggesting that maybe there's more male victims
No,
out there,
that's
which
not what
like
I'm
definitely
suggesting.
agree
I
with
just, so you're not
that.
listening to me. I said that we're
I'm
the
just
perpetrators
confused.
the most part, and I agree with that. I also agree that we're more violent. I agree with that. But when I pivot over to men, you're saying it's irrelevant. It
No,
is
no, no, I don't
very
think it's
relevant.
irrelevant.
Well, that's what you
I don't think
said.
no. I'm just confused on how it was
Okay.
relevant to this
Now, one more
conversation, you
thing.
being
One more thing.
essayed.
You can say whatever you want after this. This is all coming from my one statement, one sentence. The messaging is bad. That's all I said. Because on the background, you had all men, and prove me otherwise.
I also
Because
don't appreciate you insinuating that I don't care about male victims.
well,
Just because
no,
that's not
no.
my
When I you said
no,
you
I said
said
it was
that it's not
irrelevant to the
relevant,
yeah,
but you said
I
it was not relevant
not
as to
relevant
me.
to the conversation.
It is.
I
It's
guess.
see, you don't see it as relevant, but I
But
see it as
how?
relevant because I have experience in being SA'd.
Right, but
So
you're detracting from what women go through by saying, "Oh,
no,
women do it too."
no, I'm
Yes, you
not.
are.
I
You
wanted
are.
no. That's not
Can I
what I'm
broker
saying.
this for one
Absolutely
moment
are.
as someone who knows both of you at
Wow,
least a little bit?
I mean, I just want to know why you insinuated that I don't care about male victims.
I didn't feel like you did
Did you not insinuate it
because I told you
earlier?
that I was SA'd, and you said you didn't even let me finish.
Right,
But
but
you
we were talking
dismissed it.
about
You
we were talking.
dismissed it. You did
So,
dismiss it, and you said
well,
it's
well,
irrelevant.
no, I said the reason I said that was because we were talking about like male perpetrators, and I was confused as to why you were talking about your perpetration to the
Because I
conversation.
feel that when it happens to men, we're not taken seriously. I
Women
reported
aren't
it to the
taken
police.
seriously
I told the
either.
police department. They did nothing about it. They didn't even file
Yeah,
charges.
welcome
I
to a
told
woman's
the
world.
yeah,
That's
but no,
exactly
it's
like our
not.
world as well.
See, you're
That's our world
dismissing.
too.
That's
No, no, I'm
exactly
not
what I'm
dismissing
saying.
you.
You're
I'm not dismissing you
dismissing
at all. I'm
my
just telling
personal
you that.
experience.
No, no, no. Wait, I'm not dismissing you at all. What I'm
Yeah,
trying to
because you're
tell you
bringing it
is
back to what you're talking.
no,
Welcome to the woman's world.
yes, because it's completely disingenuous to act like every time
So I
a
deserve
woman
it because I'm a
reports.
man.
Not what I said.
So
Can you
okay,
let me finish?
so
Not what I
yeah.
said either. Let me finish. So what I was going to say was it's completely disingenuous, and I'm quite frankly tired of the sentiment that like a woman can go to the police and just automatically be believed, and that's the standard for women when that is not the standard. And
Well, hold on a
I've
second.
never
There have
understood.
been women
One
have
second.
been they have been proven that they can come back 20 years later and make a report like E. Jean Carroll and get Trump on SA charges. He was found liable.
Oh,
So that
Bobby,
is not always true.
Bobby,
No, no,
That
no.
is
So
not always true.
that's can I finish what I was saying? So what I was saying was that whenever I'm saying majority of the time when women go to the police, they do not get judicial
I'm not saying that's not
outcomes.
true either. Listen, hold on a second. You're misunderstanding me. I'm going to tell you guys right now. I advocate. I understand that women. You're just going around in circles.
very
I
clear.
understand that women are SA'd. I understand that men are
You're
the
acting like
perpetrators.
the police believe us every
We've
time, and then if
already
you walked into a police station, you would have
see.
different
I
odds
can't
than
even talk
us.
about a male. I can't even talk about a male situation
No, no, no.
without
I'm
you
just saying.
bringing up somebody
No,
on
no,
the
no.
right.
I'm just. All I'm saying is that it's disingenuous for you to act like it would be any more difficult for you to report than it is for us. It is also just as equal.
No,
Like
I told you
same.
why I told you.
It is equally as
No,
difficult on
no,
both
ma'am.
sides.
That's not why I told you that.
Yes,
I told you
yes.
because I identify with people who have been SA'd and who have been through something where they try to report it and it goes unreported. We talk about the stats.
But
Men
you're acting
report
like
it.
it's easier for women.
I didn't
That's
say
my
that.
issue.
I didn't
You
see
insinuated
that's
it.
the messaging. That's the
I feel
messaging
like I'm being
problem.
gaslit right now.
Look up another one.
I mean, I do
Let's
know all of those people, and it does seem to be a rhetorically kind of adversary situation, but
how
I
about
don't know
this?
why.
Women don't need men.
Okay.
Okay, so women don't need men. You need our votes. There are some a-holes in this world, and we need to protect everybody from those a-holes. Absolutely. And I
Then
feel
I
bad
think
for people who have
you
been SA'd.
right, Bobby. I know I understand that, but I think that you have said a lot of things just in this conversation that have been, harmful to the movement of
Really?
like women talk
Full to
on
the
rape
movement
culture.
when I barely heard about
Yes.
it. Really.
No,
By
no, I'm
the way,
specifically talking
the
about rape
movement
culture.
in itself, I barely even heard about it now. That's not
I'm
what the
talking about the
background.
movement of
Are you
rape
listening,
culture.
Mac? That is
I
not
don't
what
think
the
you're
back.
listening to me.
Admit this. That's not what we talked about in that room. That's
Right,
not
I'm
what her
talking about the
background
things you
said.
said now.
I've never
I'm
said anything about the
talking
movement.
no. So I'm talking about what you said now and how it's like contributes negatively or positively to grape culture. You
What?
acting like
What?
hold on.
What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, so I'm trying to explain it.
No.
Can't explain it.
Stop.
I keep getting
Stop.
overtalked.
What kind of nonsense is that?
I mean, you insinuating that it is
No, that's not
easy
what I'm
for women to
insinuating.
go to the police.
You are
is-
so
is-
frustrating. Why are you trying to spin it when I never said any of those things?
Because can I tell you what was harmful? What you said?
Listen, you know what's
I'll tell you
harmful
what-
is your rhetoric with the background. Because
wasn't
I
my
am who I
background.
am, I can't have
That
a
wasn't my
word.
background.
Yeah.
That wasn't my background. No.
Well, then why are
So
you up here? That's what we were talking about.
I can tell you what was
talking.
harmful.
Mac, stop. I don't want to have to mute you. The background is what I was talking about. You do understand that, right?
Right, I get that, but I also
You
can
get
tell
it.
that you were
You get it.
uninformed on certain things, and that's why I came up here. And my
Okay, so should
suspicions
I
have been
inform you
proved
on
correct.
everything else in life?
No. My suspicions have been proved correct just in this conversation because you've said harmful things.
No,
Which
I'm going to
hurt
push. I don't
women.
care who you are. I'm going to push up against you if you're on the
Yeah,
extreme side
insinuating
of
that
the
it is easier for
ideology.
men, insinuating that it is easier for women to report their essays.
I never said
It's
that.
a great myth. You
Whoa,
insinuated it.
what the
You insinuated it.
Whoa.
You insinuated
No.
it. You insinuated
You
it. Yes,
need-
you
no, I
did.
don't
Yes, you
think
did.
so.
You insinuated
No, I
it.
don't think so.
You said because I'm a man, you literally insinuated it.
No,
and
that's
used
not
your
what I
own
said. As a
story to
matter of
talk about
fact, what I said.
it. I don't know why you need
Because
to
there are
explain to
women
me.
out there that need to speak up about their essay, And so if you believe
I'm
that they're
not
not,
stupid. Don't talk to me like I'm a child.
if you are young, you are very young.
Oh, so I'm a child.
No, but you are very young.
Oh, so you know
So
more than
now
me because I'm younger
you're
than
not.
you?
You're gonna let me finish.
Is this
What I was saying.
infantilizing?
Either I drop you or
This
you're
is
gonna let me finish.
infantilizing. Mansplaining.
All right.
Insane.
Okay. So
I think what happened was Mac came into this live. Either she swiped in or whatever the case may be, and not understanding what you were referring to. And I think you thought she was the host of that particular live, and she wasn't. She actually had nothing to do at all with that live. She just jumped into the topic, into this live, trying to discuss a topic she was unfamiliar with. You know what I mean?
yeah, she was all over the place. I didn't even talk about it till Men Until No Men. I barely heard about it. When I think you were there. I think you saw what happened.
Yeah, I did.
She was treating men like crap. And then
Yeah.
you don't just because I'm a man doesn't mean you get to talk to me or treat me the way you want. That's not how. And sure enough, it turns into
You were talking about your experience, so you were familiar with this type of
no, no.
right? You know.
Now, what did
And
she
then,
say
of course,
after I told her about when I got SA'd?
Well, it didn't matter.
Yeah, well, she said that it's irrelevant.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Irrelevant. Right. The fact that you got SA didn't matter to what was going on in her.
Yeah,
25 years young. Just so you were familiar with this type of rhetoric in general terms, not specifically the subject. And poor Mac, 25 years young, just didn't understand what was going on. With
yeah,
what
she
was
wasn't
truly
in the
was
know.
Right. You know.
Now, what did
And
she
then,
say
of course,
after I told her about when I got SA'd?
Well, it didn't matter.
Yeah, well, she said that it's irrelevant.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Irrelevant. Right. The fact that you got SA didn't matter to what was going on in her little world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She says it's irrelevant, and nobody hears that part, but I heard it. You know why I heard it, JR? Because I was the one who was SA'd, and
Right.
it was an assault, and nobody
You know.
took me seriously, and I understand. And the reason why I tell people is because it's very relevant. And I'm going to be an advocate for both men and women, because men should be taken seriously just as much as women in all regards, right? So I was in the comments listening. I took a photo because I wanted to, I've been looking at the messaging and seeing what the issue is, right? I've seen one that said all men are bad. We don't need men, whatever. But this one in particular said all men.
Right,
Prove me
right.
wrong. And I was listening to how they were treating the men that were going up there.
So one, I don't appreciate the infantilization coming from either you or JR. That's one. Two, when
don't appreciate what?
suggest the infantilization. Yeah. Two, yeah, I
How
don't
so? How is it infantilization?
So first of all, you asking my age as if that's to suggest that I don't know what I'm talking about is infantilizing. And then JR, I think that's his name. You guys were both infantilizing me when
I didn't know I was asking you for, it wasn't for a specific reason.
Yeah, because after I left, I heard you both talk about how I don't know what I'm talking about due to
No,
my
I don't
young
think you have a lot
age.
of life experience. I don't think that's the case. I'm barely in my 40s and I'm barely getting there to where
So-
I don't know what your experience is, but what I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying
then
to
don't make
picture
assumptions.
you're Gen Z, right? And you're exactly who I've been targeting in terms of why didn't you show up to vote? Because you're
I did
Gen
vote.
Z, in my opinion,
Thank you.
didn't actually come out to vote. So anyways, go ahead.
Right, that's fine. I voted, so I don't know what you're
Sure.
mad about. Yeah, so I don't appreciate the infantilization, especially like whenever we were discussing like the topic of sexual violence and rape culture. I just didn't appreciate that. It's unneeded, unnecessary from both of you. I also don't appreciate the mischaracterization of what I said. I asked you what the relevance of you bringing up your specific
By the way, this is called
anecdotal
gish galloping.
experience.
This
Sure.
is gish galloping.
Sure. I didn't understand that, so I asked you what the relevance was. I don't think that what happened to you was completely irrelevant and should just not be talked about whatsoever. I just wasn't understanding the connection between why you were bringing up that in the conversation that we were talking about. I also just didn't. Yeah, I just didn't appreciate the way that you talked about me after I left. And I didn't appreciate how you completely talked over me the last time that I was up here. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, I could go, I'll re-watch the recording of the live, but yeah,
Go ahead.
that's pretty much it.
All right. So first of all, gish galloping is this. You go from topic to topic to topic and you're hoping that it'll stick without me addressing it. That's why I have to write this
You
down.
can address all of it. I'd love an answer to
Yeah,
all
but
of it.
that's called gish galloping.
I'd love an answer to all
All
of
right.
it.
Do I owe you an answer?
Well, no, but you just.
Do you think that I owe you something?
Well, no. What was the definition
So
of
why
gish
don't you throw in a
galloping
little,
again?
you want respect? Why don't you throw in a little respect with me?
Because you've disrespected me the entire
Well,
time.
let's
that I
talk
was up
about
here.
it. So you said your age. I'm asking your age because I want to know what period of time you belong to. Gen Z isn't. That's where I've been
You
reaching out.
infantilized me.
5% of my analytics is Gen Z. 5%. That's a very low percentage, and I don't see eye to eye because there is an era difference. There is several decades between us, different experiences. Right. That's
Sure,
why I
but-
asked you about your age.
Right, but whenever you say that I don't have
I'm not done
experience
yet.
and that I don't know
I
what
am
I'm
not done
talking
yet.
about.
You said, I wrote down everything you said. Why don't you write down the things
Okay,
that I
okay,
say?
sure. I'll just remember it. I have a good memory.
Yeah, well,
You know,
I
that comes
don't.
with young age.
Well, I guess so. I'm a
Uh-huh.
pilot.
Comes with
So
young age. Yep.
you want to go on to
ahead.
resumes?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Go
All
ahead.
right. So I'm a United States Marine, 2002, 2010, former state
I don't care about any
investigator,
of this.
Border
Sorry.
Patrol agent, federal agent for almost a decade. I got several degrees, criminal justice, sociology, psychology, and working on my fourth in aviation with an emphasis in piloting. So why do I even have to tell you my resume? The
Well, I mean,
reason why I do it is
I
because you
misspoke. I didn't
do a
want to
good
hear your
job
resume.
in putting people on the defensive end.
I didn't know that I was making you defensive.
All right.
I'm sorry.
So can I get through this list, or are you going to keep talking?
Yeah, no, go ahead. I'll keep
right.
it up in my,
So the
youthful memory.
age has everything to do with what generation you belong to, and there's an age difference. We obviously have different experiences. You didn't grow up with road rules. Do you have any idea what road rules is?
I've never heard of the term.
Never heard of road rules. Okay. All right. So we come from a different era. So we may speak differently in different terms. You have a different experience. You grew up with technology. I didn't. I grew up with a rotary phone. Do you know what a rotary phone is?
Yes, I know what a rotary
Cool. Did you
phone
ever
is.
use one?
I've used one before, yes.
Perfect. We have different experiences. So that's that. That's why I was asking you. The SA, grape culture. I'm against it. I'm 100% against it. We're on the same level when it comes to that. So whether you have an issue with my message, you've never seen my live, I'm sure. But if you did, you would know that I'm against it. And I have spoken out against people who do those things. It shouldn't be happening. And it does happen. How do we stop it? Well, I don't know. But we do have people like Brock Turner who get away with it because of the color of his skin. He was only given 3 months in jail.
Yeah, I know who Brock Turner is. Thank you.
I didn't suggest that you didn't.
No,
See,
I'm not
that's
saying that you
that's
did.
your inexperience, because that's not what I'm saying. Had nothing to do with you. I'm making a point. So then you come back and you say, what did you say? Miscarriage of your statement. You said after I told you about my SA experience, it's irrelevant.
To the conversation that we were having. I didn't understand
It
the
is
relevance
not
to the
irrelevant
conversation.
to the conversation.
I
You
didn't
just don't
understand the
think it's
relevance.
irrelevant because I'm a man, right?
No, that's not it at all.
Okay,
Relevance.
relevant. And it was relevant to me to identify with people who have been in those positions because I am somebody who has been SA'd, right?
Right, I'm not
So
discrediting
how is
that
it?
at all.
How is it irrelevant?
It felt as if you were not bringing that up because you wanted to share like common ground necessarily. It felt as if you were bringing that up because you were trying to, I guess, show that men are also like victims, which I never contended
Okay, but
that
men
are
are victims, and then you made another
Right.
statement saying that women are never given justice. And I came
I
and
said
said
almost never.
that is, and let me explain. I don't think that's good messaging, and let me explain why. Because if you have that sentiment, you're telling the younger generation, even younger than you, that nothing's going to happen if they report it. We need to make it a culture of reporting.
And how do you do that?
Reporting.
No,
And
the
making
way-
it okay to report and tell them that something should happen. If it doesn't, then there's a problem. There is a problem. But you need to make it, I'm not saying comfortable. You need to make it okay for people to say, yes, I'm going to say something about my essay. And yes, I'm going to try to give them the facts so that they know I'm not delusional. Right?
And can I explain how
And
we
I
would
brought
go
in
about
E. Jean
that?
Carroll because I think that's good what she did. She grabbed her gun. She had the courage. I want to stay the same that what we've been doing over the past
I can
20
tell
years.
you the better way to go about it. The better way to go about it would be to create environments where victims are believed to ensure.
That's what I'm saying.
No, that's not what you're saying. You're saying
That's
that every
exactly
victim
what
has
I'm
an onus
saying.
to report. That's not what you're saying.
That is
This completely
exactly
different. Can you
what
please let
I'm
me finish?
saying.
Can you please let me finish, and then you can tell me if you agree?
What
So
the
what we need to-
fuck? That
yeah,
is
so we-
exactly what I'm saying.
So telling victims to report in the world that we live in today is not just going to make them all of a sudden be like, yeah, I should go report and I'm going to go do this. And, I'm going to not have any qualms about it. That's not what we need to do. What we need to
Oh
do
my
is
God.
why are you, oh my God, I'm trying to give you advice.
I just told you.
Yeah, so the way that we do this is that we make society more receptive to these allegations, and we make a culture where women and victims and
That
men
is
and
what I just said.
children are believed whenever they come out. And no, you talked about getting people to report. I'm talking about how we do that.
I
And the way
just
that we do
I just
that.
finished saying we need to make. I corrected the comfort. You need to make it more comfortable, but we need to make it okay and a safe place for them to report it.
Then why didn't you say we should make an
I've been
environment where
saying
we
it.
that's the report, which I would agree with. But first,
Said
on
that.
duty, on that,
I agree.
then why didn't you say that?
That's
Why
what
was
I
the
just
first thing you
said.
said that victims
is
need
exactly
to,
what I just
need
said.
to report?
That is exactly what I just said.
You did not say all of that.
I did.
You said
Listen.
that victims need to report.
This is ridiculous.
I
Mac,
think you're ridiculous.
First of all, Mac, you came into this live believing that I was talking about it's all men, it's all no men.
No,
You
I didn't
made-
think that.
Yes, you did. That's what
No,
you
I
went
wanted
off
to
with.
talk. No, I wanted to get
You
your
weren't in the
opinion on
live that I was in.
Right, you're right. Why
So
I was
you didn't
here.
hear. You're trying to chime in on something that you don't know what you're talking about.
No, I do know. I
Okay,
wanted
tell
to
me
get
what
your
the
opinion on
conversation
that.
was like then.
Right,
You
so
weren't there. You weren't in the room, but you
I
know
wasn't.
what happened, right?
Well, I mean, from what you said, the conversation was that you went
But you
into a
weren't
live,
there.
but from what you said, because I listen, right? You think that I don't listen? I'll tell you how I listen. So, from what you said, because I listen, I can listen to you without interrupting you and saying things and infantilizing you, or,
Here,
I guess it would be
chew on
ageism.
this. Chew on that for a little bit. Sorry. Goodbye. Adios, amigo. You're out of here. We're not going to bend down to Gen Zers. You failed to come out to vote in general. Not you. You voted. Good for you. But because of the lack of vote from the Gen Zers, we now have Donald Trump as president. So, yeah. Goodbye. Adios.